Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our online class and also welcome to ethics, no? So today we were going to discuss the third lesson in this topic, which is ethical principle of Confucianism. So before we begin, we must understand first all the things that we need to discuss. So these are the learning outcomes of our topic for or our lesson for today. So upon completion of this lesson, the student must be able to contextualize Confucian principles into the contemporary time. Number two, identify and explain the ethical principle of Confucianism and apply Confucian principles into societal aspects. So these three must be achieved in our discussion for today. So let's begin with Confucian ethics. So ano nga ba si Confucian ethics? So it says here in our PowerPoint that Confucian ethics focuses on the reciprocity or the golden rule and the innateness of the four great virtues: humanness, righteousness or justice, propriety, and wisdom. The structure of human relationships, particularly the family, provides an idealized model for all other relationships. With that, Confucius fought against the concept of feudal society, seeking a way to structure the society so that the position of responsibility were occupied by the superior moral man, a revolutionary idea both in his and our time. It is said that in Confucianism, both the man and the society in which he lives are small parts of the universe. The universe is immersed in an order, in a harmony. Any attempt to break this harmony creates trouble. So let's proceed with the bibliographical details on how Confucianism started. So, biographical details, it is stated that Kung Fu, Kung Fu Tse. Okay, so actually yung name ni Confucius is first is Kung Fu Tse. The philosopher Kung, whose name has been Latinized into Confucius. So yung naririnig niyo pong name na Confucius is translation po ng pangalan ni Confucius, yung philosopher. So ang kanyang Chinese name is Kung Fu Tse. So he was born in the year 550 or 551 BC. No? So his father is Su Liangye, was an officer in charge to the district of Su in the state of Lu and had been famous for his strength and being daring. He was the Kunfu family was lineally descendant from Wang Tse, an almost legendary character of ancient China. So Confucius was married in accordance with Chinese custom at 19 and accepted public employee as a keeper of stores and later as a superintendent of parks and herds. At 22, however, he commenced his life work as a teacher, and gradually a group of students eager to be instructed in the classics and in conduct and government gathered about him. He was a contemporary of Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism or tinatawag din nating Taoism, who, however, was the next previous generation. So if you're going to look at it, it's like the triumvirate in Greece, started by Socrates, Plato, and Confucius. So Lao Tzu is a student of Confucius. Confucius is said to have several interviews with him about 517 BC. Up to the age of 52, he was not much in public life. He was then made a chief magistrate of the city of Chongzhi, which so he thrived and improved under his care. But the Duke of Lu appointed him minister of crime, which resulted in a great reduction of wrongdoing. The Duke accepting a present of female musician and giving himself over as dissipation. So Confucius withdrew and wandered among the various states, giving instruction as opportunity offered. He was 56 when he set forth on his wandering, and it was 13 years before he returned to Lu. So in 479 BC, Confucius died at the age of 72. He was buried in the Kung cemetery outside the gate of Fu, where most of his descendants said to be um, to more than 40,000 that still live. So in that cemetery, he was there live. Now his tomb is yet preserved and is annually visited by number of people and his followers. So that is the life or the biographical details of Confucius. So let's proceed with the five basic relationships that taught by Confucius. So a final the onset of Shang Dynasty influence that shaped Confucian thought is an ancestor worship. Under Confucian influence, primitive rituals of ancestor worship, however, evolved into a central Confucian virtue of filial piety. So respect for ancestors, parents, and elders, generally more especially within the context of the broad principle of Li and the prime virtue of Ren. The ideal Confucian person, Junzi, is further defined in terms of idealized social relationships that include a natural hierarchy that is part of all social relations. So these are the five. To summarize it, is there's a, these are the five relationships. So this relationship is the father and son, husband and wife, elder brother, and to the younger sibling, the ruler and the minister or the subject, and relationship between friends. So we have also the distinctive virtue that we need to focus the affection or filial piety or respect, separate, separate gendered role, order or proper propriety, righteousness, justice, and loyalty, and then faithfulness and fidelity. So these are the things that we need to focus on our discussion. So let's begin with, so these five basic relationships are the natural social relationships that essentially constitute human social life. So the traditional five core relationships are strongly gendered, leaving out daughters and sisters and including only wives. The first relationship can be expanded to parent and child, and third can be recast as siblings. But the husband and wife relationship is clearly conceived as a defined in gendered terms. Altering it to spouse is thus a substantial change, and thus it will receive a more substantial discussion as we further discuss this topic. Internal to each relationship are the specific roles, responsibilities, and virtues that are based directly on the nature of the particular relationship. To begin with, parent and child. Let me read to you what's written in the PowerPoint. A parent owes a child affection and care, an education that promotes intellectual and moral development. A child owes a parent obedience, respect, and care in old age and after death. The parent-child relationship naturally and spontaneously includes an emotional bond of love. The authority of the parent is rooted in wisdom and aimed at the good of the child. A child's respect for parents and family, elders, is essential to social order and virtue. Filial piety is thus the core value that defines and shapes most of one's life. Open and close parenthesis, parenthesis. Filial piety includes respect for ancestors and in classical Confucian thought is really related to the more ancient tradition of ancestor worship. So, ang ibig sabihin po nito, it only means that in this parent and child relationship, the parent has the responsibility to take care of its children. But remember, even though it's the responsibility of the parent, it is um, not just a responsibility, but a moral obligation. Because Confucius believed that if you raise a child in a good environment, then the child could be a good citizen of a nation. So that is why the parent owes a child affection and care and responsibility to his intellectual and moral development. If you're going to watch Chinese movies, you could see that the parents are to be blamed if the child misbehaves in a particular um, occasion or being naughty in a school. So it is not a responsibility of a teacher at all because it is the parent's responsibility. Whatever may be the attitude or the character of an individual, it is because of a keen guidance of the parent. If the child, if ever, do not have a parent, if they are orphans, the parent and child relationship would go to the eldest um, person in the family. Okay? So let's proceed with the husband and wife. So let me read to you what's written in the PowerPoint. So the husband is to lead, provide for, and protect the family. And the wife is the one to maintain the household and defer to her husband. The family is led by the father. Gender relations involve ritualized and clearly defined female subordination, and this leads to a cultural reference for son over daughter. The ideal Confucian woman is differential, silent, and of course, fertile. Her virtue are inner strength, forbearance, and calm restraint. So what does it mean? So in the society, in the Chinese community, it is said that the husband or the man is more powerful in a household. Okay? In a household, no? So as you could see that all the decision making, all the things that needs to address, it should be the husband that gives decision or choices. On the other hand, the wife needs to be a support system or to support the husband on regards with his um decision. So the wife is, kaya nga meron tayong concept. So we have the concept of the father is the haligi ng tahanan and the wife is the light of the house. Because our culture also, we ano to, we inherit it in Chinese culture wherein the father is the head of the family. And if the husband, for example, in their time, is far away, or he's in war, he's a soldier, or he's not present physically in the household, the first son is the one who will going to take responsibility on this occasion. So you see that this concept of family orientation is dated back way, way long to the Chinese community. Okay, so let's continue with siblings. Let me read this. The older brother or sibling is to look after the younger and to help the younger to obey and internalize the social role and to fit well into the overall life of the community. The younger support shows differences and respect the older. What does it mean? It only means that they follow the hierarchy of the family. So all the responsibility, kaya kung makikita nyo, also in our culture, yung panganay, actually, dito sa Confucianism, ang panganay na lalaki ang siyang mayroong tinatawag nating malaking obligasyon sa pamilya. That is why, in their early ages, they are being trained to be more on what we call family oriented. Okay? So the younger siblings and also no the female in the family must obey the eldest son in the family in absence of the father. And also when the father died, everything in the household, even the wife, no, they should follow the eldest sibling. And also, because the father always work, buong araw sila nag-work, the obligation also of the eldest son is to discipline his younger sibling. Okay? So, yan po. So now, we will proceed on friendship. Yan. Friend, relationship friend of friends. So, let me read this to you. Mutual loyalty aimed at mutual virtue is the essential virtue of friendship. Friendship is based in virtue and contributes to self-development. Friends are akin to brothers, quote unquote. When at home, you have your brothers. So when abroad, you have friends, quote unquote. For men with no brothers, there are none who have established themselves, who have not had friends to help them. The true friendship is a plant of slow growth and must undergo and withstand the shocks of adversity. So always remember, true friendship is must be tested not only with time, but sabi dyan, withstand the shock of adversity. It only means that whether you have a long friendship, you've been your friendship has lasted for decades, or it's just lasted for a year, as long as your friendship has been tested by a circumstances or an issue, and you address it, and your friendship flourish after the circumstances, then you could call it a true friendship. So it says that your home, your brothers, your sisters you should have to begin with friendship with them, because we have a saying, charity started at home or in the family. So the same with friendship. Friendship must start or cultivate at home, so that when you go outside your home, you will know how to be a good friend to other people. Okay? So we will now proceed to the five fundamental principles. So the five fundamental is education or ritual, Li, humanity, Ren, superior man, Jinzi, Jin Z. Power is test. The art of peace is when. So education, it says, quote unquote, here is study as if you never learned enough, as if you were afraid to forget what you have learned. So in Confucianism, they believe that continuous learning flourish us, nurture us to be a good person because education plays an important role in our society. Number two, humanity, red. Self-control and insistence on rights are what will result in benevolence. Benevolence comes from yourself, not from others. Ren is love others. So in short, we exist because we need to love one another. We are here to help one another, not to be a burden to one another. Okay. Superior man. The superior man is centered on justice, the vulgar in the benefit. So in here, it's not because you have to be boastful or you're mayabang. When we say superior man is that we know how are we going to be a leader, no? So because we know how um to be a leader, dahil alam natin paano maging leader, we could lead other people to a better life. Yun. And we use the power. Sabi niya, there is the power by which men are governed. The right thing is not implanted in society or by force or by law, but the influence of people admired and respect. If the leader is inept, society does not work. Okay? So, if you become a superior man, you became a leader, you must know how to control the power. When you have the power, it doesn't mean you apakan niyo yung mga taong nakapalibot sa inyo, you enforce the law. No, it's not like that. If you have the power, you have to implement the people to to respect you, to admire you, and your leadership would be an inspiration to them. It will help them to see that leaders are the role model of the society. Kaya nga yung mga leaders sa kanila dapat they have to live a lifestyle that is acceptable to the society. Mataas ang tingin nila sa mga leader nila kasi nga sila dapat ay laging tinitingala. Okay? And number 5, the art of peace. So the art of peace is when? So let me read it. Let the will be set on the path of duty. Let every attainment in what is good be firmly grasped. Let perfect virtue be accorded with. Let relaxation and enjoyment be found in the polite art. So you see, they look art as a meditation, as a relaxation. So they paint, as you said, calligraphy to them is an art also because you find peace while writing. Being a poet is like a man walking in peace because as you write your poem, you internalize, you meditate. Your poem should give peace to other people. Or if not peace, it should give enlightenment to the people. Your book should not be causing any trouble or any anxiety to the people who will going to read because they believe that art always brings peace. Okay? So we are now done with the 5 fundamental principles. So we will now proceed with ethical principle of Confucianism. So reciprocity in the analect. So when we say reciprocity in the analect, in this passage, the virtue of golden rule, sabi dyan, do not do unto others what you don't want them do unto you. Okay? So Chung asked about fairness or Jen. The master said, sabi ni Confucius to, when going about to behave to each person as if you were meeting an esteemed guest, employ people as if you were assisting at a great ceremony. Do not do unto others what you do not want them to do unto you, when there will be no resentment against you in the country or in your family. Confucius said, though I am not Jesus, I'll try and put your teaching into practice. Tapos nagtanong si Lao Tzu, is there one word which can express the essence of right conduct in life? Then Confucius replied, it is the word true or reciprocity. That what he meant is that if you don't like what you don't want to be, you don't want to hear, or if you don't like what others doing to you, then do not do it to them. For example, ayaw mong babastusin ka, huwag mo silang babastusin. Ayaw mong chinichismis ka nila, huwag mo silang isichismis. Ayaw mong manakawan ka, huwag kang magnakaw. No? So, ganun yung prinsipyo ni Confucius. And he also says that the innateness of the four great virtues, yung mentions na tinatawag. So, the four virtues here referred to are humanness, righteousness or justice, property and wisdom. To sum it up, Mencius argued that there are roots are human virtue. So those virtue is human nature properly expressed. So Mencius said, all men are such that cannot bear seeing each other suffer. The kings of all had this kind of compassion, and it governed their policy. What one could easily rule the whole world with attitudes like that. It could be like turning it around in the palm of the hand. I say that men are like that because anyone sees a child fall into the well would have a feeling of horror and distress. They don't feel this out of sympathy from the parents or to gain reputation among friendship and neighbors or to fear of being considered unfeeling, not to feel the address to be against of human nature. Similarly, not to feel shame and disgrace, and not to feel respect for others, and not to have the sense of right and wrong are contrary to human nature. The feeling of distress is the beginning of humanness. The feeling of shame is the beginning of righteousness. The feeling of respect is the beginning of propriety. And the feeling of right and wrong is the beginning of wisdom. So in Confucianism teaching, we are all taught to be how a good neighbor to one another, no? So ibig sabihin lang nito, sa Confucianism, Confucius taught us not just to be um, a person na magagamit natin sa araw-araw na yung nandyan lang kayo, parang nag-exist lang kayo dahil buhay kayo. No. Confucius said here that we must do good things to others so that this world will be a better living to the next generation. Excuse me. So, yun po yung mga aral ni Confucius. So, that would be the end of our discussion for today. So I do hope you learned something from my discussion. And I really love to know your reactions. Kung may natutunan kayo, thumbs up nga. Ayan. So, I think may natutunan naman kayo with your reaction. May question ba? Okay, mukha namang walang question. So with that, this is the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for attending our online class. And I do hope na umattend pa kayo sa mga next meeting natin. At I think on Wednesday, it's holiday, araw ng Kagitingan, April 9, no? So we will be seeing each other on Friday. So please be prepared kasi po magkakaroon tayo ng activity. Alam niyo naman that every time we end a lesson, we will have our activity. So magpapa-activity po ako sa inyo at please lang po, tapusin niyo po yung activity niyo kasi malapit na matapos yung SEM natin at ayoko naman na maghihiwalay tayo na malungkot kayo kasi nga wala kayong grade dahil hindi kayo nagpapasa ng mga activity natin. Okay? So kung wala na po talagang question, This will be the end of our discussion. Thank you so much, and God bless you.